Um, do you have any questions before we get started?
I don't.
Great. All right. So, how long have you worked for the city of Long Beach? And tell me what you do.
I've worked for St. Long Beach for like close to a year and a half now. And what I do specifically is I'm what you call the CE matcher. CE matcher is required by federal HUD to pretty much match clients into housing, permanent supportive housing, and rapid rehousing.
Hmm.
And what I look into are different criteria regarding the different qualifications for housing units, because there are different types of housing units that have different criteria. And, of the diverse demographic that we serve here at the MSC, they would have, you know, different guidelines that I would have to look into to have one housed, So
Okay.
I look into all of that stuff, and I oversee the whole system in itself too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what does your typical day look like?
When I walk in, I turn on my computer, and I check to see if I have any referrals to be processed in the shared inbox. And if there are, then I would basically like process those referrals into this thing called the HOP, which means the housing opportunity pool. And the housing opportunity pool is the main tool that I use to pretty much screen each client's qualification for permanent supportive housing. And then you know uh, if vacancy notification is being sent my way on the same day, then I would make a match for that unit. I
Okay.
also, I'm sorry.
Hmm. No, go ahead.
Okay. I also, I'm included in all of the emails regarding any part of the system regarding permanent supportive housing. So if there's any questions that case managers need me to answer regarding the submittal of like vital documents that's required before they're to be housed, then I'm the guy that tracks all of that. So um, I mean, generally, I'm like sitting on my desk all day, but like they have different ways to contact me, either through phone, my personal phone, or my work phone, or I just walk to the front and answer a few questions and whatnot. What else do I do? Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it. And a lot of meetings. Oh, well, lately, yeah, I've been doing a lot of meetings.
I
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah, I do a lot of meetings. I check in on a lot of meetings, and most especially when it comes to the regards of like the system in itself, then I answer all those questions.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
thinking back on the trauma and resistance training and workshop you participated in,
I'm
um,
sorry.
I want you to think back to the trauma and resistance training workshop that you participated in.
Sure.
Um, and what did you learn specifically about trauma from that workshop?
Yeah, that's how far was that ago? It was like a few months ago. If I can recall,
Hmm.
the I could say people go through different things, whether if it's a client or even a worker, you know. They what do you call it? The people that's experiencing trauma, they project it differently, and everyone has gone through different experiences that might have contributed to the trauma.
Hmm.
um and the way how I would like pretty much like mitigate all that is to empathy, like feeling for the person, like trying to understand from what shoes they're wearing and where they're coming from and whatnot. um yeah, everyone has different experiences in regards to trauma. And also, and now you mentioned also resiliency, right?
Well, we're going to focus on trauma first. We'll move to resiliency a little bit later.
Okay, yeah. So trauma, yeah, that's pretty much what I can say off the top of my head.
Right.
Everyone has like different experiences and whatnot that contributes to trauma that inadvertently may result to perhaps even like a mental disability or a mental, a mental condition, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, I guess that's all I can say about that.
No, that's really helpful. Um, so since the training, have you been able to apply any of the information on trauma, either at work or either outside of work?
I apply it every day, but
Okay.
I mean, not in the way how you describe it. I mean, like, I mean, I guess I've been doing it before the meeting. It's just you just helped me kind of like define a lot of the things that I wasn't able to pretty much like put together in words, just like how you did. You know,
Hmm.
whether through action, yeah. I like. This is gonna sound a little weird, but like, there's a little thing that I learned because I practiced the Japanese arts, but I haven't done it in a while because of COVID. But like,
Hmm.
it's taught me ways to pretty much like how to work with people, you know, and you know, most especially when someone is going through something. Like I had a student that actually came through, and um, he was going through. Okay, from what I understand, he was like a foster child, and then he was beaten, you know, very young, and then you can literally see like, you know, the just in his facial expression alone that he's gone through a lot. So he came to us to learn the arts to see if he could like, you know, deal with all that, you know.
Hmm.
And then basically what we tried to do was pretty much get him to be comfortable with us to start learning the techniques, because like, you know, he didn't really trust us. He wanted to, but his body was not really translating what his mind wanted him to do, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, it's the body language was like obvious, you know, like he wants to learn, but at the same time his parents want him to be there so he could learn how to trust other people, you know, and at the same time like how to deal with his trauma, you know.
Hmm.
And like we try to like slowly show him the art by like, I mean, it was, he was already resistant, just the fact that we were touching him, you know, like you're trying to teach him a joint lock and this and all that kind of stuff. And then like, I mean, he let us, right? But you could already tell in his demeanor that he was not having,
Uncomfortable.
well, he wasn't, I'm not going to say completely not having it, but he wanted to learn. But at the same time, it's like, he just doesn't know how to, you know?
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, I guess empathy would be one of like the main word that I would use in this case, you know? Like I have to be able to feel that person out through conversation, the body language that they're telling me and stuff like that. Like,
Hmm.
you know, and then the way how you described it was just more of like, you know, a scientific way of explaining it. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that's a really good example. I think we'll come back to it a little bit later. But
Okay.
now as we shift to resiliency,
Hmm.
from the workshop, are there any things that you remember about what you learned about resiliency?
Um, like not off, I don't know off the top of my head. I just know resiliency by definition. That's it.
Okay.
And how to apply it, you know? Um, could I start? Okay, how about this? I'm gonna look at the term resiliency on the dictionary. Then
Hmm.
I'm gonna go off of that because I don't want to give you
Your
wrong
your
information.
your personal definition is completely fine because I'm asking more so about what you gleaned from the workshop
Okay.
and where and how you kind of carry that forward.
Okay. I guess my personal experience with resiliency is just pretty much just fighting through it. You know,
Hmm.
like I mean, yeah. Even me myself, I have gone through trauma, right? But like, I mean, I deal with it differently than other people do because that's just me, you know. So, I mean, if I were to, hmm, if I were to reflect back on resiliency and how you described it at that time, then I guess like it's just a matter of like just accepting what's in front of me, if that makes sense to you.
It
Like I'm
does.
not gonna, huh?
It does.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm not gonna try and change anything in front of me. I'm just like, I mean, like let's say I'm like dealing with a person that's going through trauma or just like not having a bad day or whatever, right? Like, I mean, the way how I'm gonna see it is, okay, this guy's probably having a bad day. Then rather than taking it personal, then I'm gonna see it as okay, then what happened to this person before they saw me? You know, like they probably were going through something before they were actually having a conversation with me. So I'm like, okay, then I'm gonna step back and kind of like observe first before I actually like take a crack at it. I guess, lack for a better term. Um, it's just rather than reacting, I'm gonna be more of like uh you know observe, you know and use my intuition to try to like assess whatever is there, like like not having to change anything, but if anything has to change, it would have to be me first. So like, because the only thing I can't control is the way how I react to things, right? So I mean, and I don't want to be in conflict with anything. So I figured if I want to prevent any form of conflict, then I have to see what it is that I'm projecting outwardly from myself. So I guess there's a sense of like um, self-awareness on my part to, you know, to deal with whatever that I have to deal with. And then, and as far as like adding resiliency to that, it's just, I would think that, to be resilient, you would have to be self-aware first. That's just me though.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think that connects to what you were talking about a little bit earlier with the empathy, that
Yeah.
the recognition of someone else's, internal conflict, or the way that they are, you know, their body language, or how they're even responding,
Hmm.
takes a certain level of self awareness. And from that
Hmm.
self awareness, then you can kind of move forward.
Hmm.
So, with that in mind, have there been any, particular ways that you've applied your understanding of resiliency in your work or even outside of it?
Uh, yeah. Like I said, rather than taking it personal, I just kind of like I breathe deep. I breathe in, you know, uh, and just pretty much assess everything first before I engage in whatever thing that I have to do. Um, Even simply just going for a walk every 2 hours to make sure I take my break, to keep my mind clear and whatnot. Because to me, if I were to apply that kind of stuff, then I would have to be in the right state of mind to actually do it. Like if I'm not centered within myself, if my mind and body is not unified, then it'll be a little bit hard in my end to actually apply resiliency, right? So there goes that term again,
Hmm.
self-aware, or a better term, being present the very moment, like like
Yeah, those are all very key terms, particularly being centered when it comes to being resilient.
yeah,
Um, and
you
as
don't
you,
have to know what you're doing. Yeah, like it's very hard to apply it when you're not really paying attention.
mhm,
Just like anything else.
right. So a little bit earlier, you were speaking about how you were experiencing someone who had experienced trauma. Are there any
Yeah.
other examples of that, whether it's in your work or outside?
uh in my work,
Hmm.
the thing is like, um if I see it at work, I just see it as like people stressing out because like, the case managers are having to, like they're telling because I deal with the homeless, right? And the clients will pretty much like tell their whole story to their case manager, and then the case manager will go through this thing called what do you call it? Secondhand trauma, you know?
Hmm.
So like, I could see, I could literally see like in their faces, that they're actually being affected by the stories that they hear from the case managers. And I work closely with the case managers, so you know just having to pretty much like see and experience the trauma, what the clients are going through, is kind of like oh wow, you know, like when I first experienced, like, you know, I've never gone through that before. And then like, I guess like, I learned how to deal with it by pretty much not really shutting down, but more of like just, you know, being calm and being centered, you know, like, then I say, you know, when I didn't know what I was like experiencing, I was just pretty much just saying like, okay, I'm stressing out because the case manager is stressed out because the clients are stressing them out.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, it's kind of like, you know, trickling down to me too, you know? So then I just pretty much found the way to pretty much like mitigate it by just, you know, trying to figure out what the facts are, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I just stick to the facts, uh, but at the same time acknowledge, you know, what it is I'm feeling, then that way I'll be able to control like any, you know, any emotional thing that I am experiencing within myself. So I could just like go about, you know, helping that person or the case manager and whatnot, you know? Uh, I mean, because they go through a lot, the case managers. And, you know, just having to hear the stories of what they go through. And it's pretty interesting and sad at the same time. But, you know, that's just the what do you call it? That's part of the job, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, uh, if they want to talk it out, then we talk it out, you know,
Mm-hmm.
whether off them to the side or, you know, like, or they want to tell me, which they do a lot, you know, because I'm the guy that houses them.
Right.
And then like, sometimes they tell me like, you know, this guy needs to be housed, this and that. Then I'm like, well, they would have to go through the process first, you know. I don't know what else to say, you know. And then the client is still being persistent of wanting to be housed, but like I said, I have to stick within uh, the facts, the process, you know, because there are rules to this and what we do, you know.
Right.
Yeah. So as far as like being able to mitigate that on my end, that's how I would do it. Now, trying to help the case manager to kind of like, you know, accept those facts, accept the process is a different story because everyone takes it a little bit differently. Well, I was having trouble doing that in the beginning because I had to introduce the system. And now that they're all getting acclimated to it, now they're getting used to it. They know how to deliver it to the clients. You get what I'm saying?
Right. So it was a
Yeah.
bit of a learning curve.
Yeah. Yeah. Because this system that's being done was never done at all, like never. So I had to pretty much create something to, in a sense, like maintain a sense of like equity of all housing resources to people who are experiencing homelessness, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. There are certain criterias that we got to do to make sure that we're doing things in a fair manner, you know? And that's the main part of my job, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there other areas, whether it's about trauma or resiliency, that you would like to receive additional information?
Uh, uh, Not at the very moment. I don't know off the
Okay.
top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, is there anything else about the subject of trauma or resiliency that you like to offer? Anything that any questions that I missed?
Any questions that?
Yeah,
Hmm.
anything that came to mind during our conversation that you didn't have a chance to share?
Oh, uh, not off the top of my head. No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
But if anything, like, I mean, I would encourage, you know, meditation. That's you can start there, you know.
Yeah, mindfulness is always a good way to go.
Yeah. It's and the thing is with that, it's really hard to start by yourself in regards to that. It's a lot easier when you have someone else helping you to guide you to mindfulness and all that stuff, you know. And I highly recommend joining an art, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just me though, you know. But
No, that's really helpful. So the for your participation we are giving you an Amazon gift card. What would be the best email to send that gift card? Is it the work email or is it a separate one?
No, no, work email's fine.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So I have that on file, of course,
Okay.
and we will process that for you.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughtful responses. And
Okay.
if there's anything else, we'll reach out to you.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. You have a good day.
You too. Bye.